Have you ever stood in front of your closet, hands resting on the same pair of trousers you've worn for years, only to feel like nothing quite fits anymore? Not just the waist or the hem, but you. There's a quiet moment many of us reach after 60. It's not loud or dramatic. It's just a soft tug, longing to feel like ourselves again, but with more ease, more grace, and far less effort. Today's not about looking younger. It's about feeling lighter, standing a little taller, and remembering what it feels like to get dressed without second-guessing everything. A few weeks ago, I met Judith at a small community art fair in Vermont. She's 73, a retired math teacher who now paints wildflowers. She wore a pair of wide-leg navy trousers, soft, flowing, and a tucked-in linen shirt with a straw hat tilted just so. She wasn't flashy, but she had that presence. You know the kind that says, I know who I am, and I dress to meet myself first. That stayed with me. Because for so many of us, getting dressed used to be about proving. Now, it's about belonging to our own bodies, our rhythms, our joy. So in this video, we're not chasing rules. We're rediscovering what it feels like to choose comfort and polish. Let's begin with the pants that let you breathe again. 1. The pair that lets you breathe again. Do you know that quiet sigh you let out the moment you change out of your jeans at the end of the day? That soft, guilty relief, like your body is finally allowed to exist without being squeezed into shape? That was me a few years ago, still holding on to the idea that structured meant respectable. I thought clothes had to pinch a little to be taken seriously. Then I met what I now call my breathing pants, a pair of soft, bien huang, high-waisted trousers in dove gray crepe. No buttons biting, no seams digging, no lines to camouflage. Just ease, movement, and something I hadn't felt in a while. Dignity without discomfort. The insight here is simple, but it took me decades to accept. Not all pants have to sculpt you into someone else. Some pants simply let you be. A softly pleated wide leg trouser in a forgiving fabric, think viscose blend, soft cotton twill or fluid jersey, can drape over your hips without clinging, define your waist without squeezing, and give your legs room to move without apology. Choose a waistband that sits just above your natural waist. Not tight, not sliding. Just there. Supportive like an old friend's hand at your lower back. Last spring, my friend Evelyn, she's 66 and an amateur birder, invited me to her weekend cabin upstate. When I arrived, she greeted me in wide-leg sand-colored pants, a loose striped shirt, and canvas slip-ons. Nothing fancy. But watching her walk across the lawn, arms open to hug me, wind catching the fabric, she looked like freedom. I haven't worn jeans in 4 years, she whispered to me later, grinning. I'm not built for compression anymore. I'm built for kindness. And truly, that's what these pants are. A quiet act of kindness to your body. We've spent so long accommodating clothes that never made room for how we've changed. But wide leg pants? They're different. They adjust to the rhythm of your day. They honor where you've been. And they let you take a deep breath without needing to unbutton anything after dinner. For me, that's become a new rule of dressing. If I can't breathe freely, I'm not really living in it. Now, as we move into the next part of this journey, let's talk about shape. Not the one others expect to see, but the one we want to feel. Because elegance isn't about hiding our curves. It's about choosing what to celebrate. Which piece in your closet lets you breathe easiest? I'd love to hear.
to the waistline that finds you again. Have you ever stood in front of the mirror, gently tugging your waistband up, then down, then back up again, trying to guess where your waist actually went? It's like one day, without warning, it just wandered off. That shift isn't just physical. It's emotional too. Our bodies soften, our middles round, and suddenly, the pants that once fit like a glove now pinch like punishment. But what if I told you the answer isn't to hide your waist or mourn it, but to rediscover it with grace? The key here is placement and structure. Wide leg pants with a gently elasticized or softly pleated high rise can meet your body where it is today. No digging, no squeezing, just a subtle embrace around the natural waist or slightly above, paired with a waistband that gives a little. That small detail can mean the difference between feeling held in and feeling seen. Let me tell you about Janice, a retired piano teacher from Asheville. She once told me she hadn't worn anything tucked in since her late 40s. I didn't want to draw attention to my tummy, she said. But one afternoon last fall, she came to my studio wearing navy pleated pants and a tucked-in blouse. She looked radiant. These pants found my waist again, she smiled. Not the waist I used to have, but the one I have now. And truly, that difference showed in the way she stood taller, spoke bolder, even reached for her coffee with more ease. I remember that feeling myself. The first time I slipped on a pair of paperback waist trousers with a soft bow tie in front. They didn't flatten anything. They framed me. I didn't need to wear shapewear. I just needed a waist that met me halfway. There's a quiet power in reclaiming that area. Not to impress anyone, not to fit into an old photo, but to say, this is still me, and I still get to feel beautiful. A defined waist isn't about shape. It's about self-regard. So next, let's move to the pairing that brings it all together. The tops that help your wide pants sing without shouting. And tell me, when was the last time you felt good tucking something in? Or are you still waiting for that moment? 3. The tuck that brings you back to center. Isn't it odd how something as small as tucking in a shirt can feel like a bold return to yourself? I mean, think about it. How many times have we stood in front of the mirror holding the hem of our blouse, hesitating, wondering if tucking it in would draw attention to a waist that doesn't sit quite where it used to, or if it might highlight the softness we've carried with us in our bellies, our backs, our stories. Last fall, I met Louise at a local art fair in Sedona. She was 67, with silver hair swept up in a soft twist and a watercolor scarf fluttering in the wind. She stood beside a row of hand-thrown ceramics, wearing flowy palazzo pants and an untucked tunic. Lovely, really. But she kept fidgeting, tugging at the hem, shifting side to side. During our conversation, I gently asked if she'd ever tried a half tuck. Her eyes widened. "Oh, I used to, years ago, when I wore belts," she chuckled. Later that day, I spotted her again. Same outfit, but this time, the tunic was softly tucked just in front. And something had shifted. It wasn't just her outfit, it was her entire energy. She looked lifted, settled, centered. That's the quiet power of a well-placed tuck. It reintroduces structure, yes, but more importantly, it reclaims presence. It draws the eye back to the midsection in a way that says, "Here I am," without shouting or apologizing. It frames the body not as something to hide, but something to honor. And at this stage in life, that's everything. Now, let's get practical. There are several types of tucks, and each carries its own personality. The full tuck is best with high-waisted wide-leg trousers, especially those with clean waistbands or subtle pleats. It defines the waist and elongates the leg line. The half tuck, just the front or one side,
is beautifully forgiving, especially with softly draped blouses or linen button-downs. And then there's the knot tuck, where you tie the hem gently to one side or in front. That one adds a touch of playfulness, like saying, yes, I'm polished, but I still know how to have fun. But here's the thing. The success of the tuck depends not just on the shirt, but on the pants. You need wide leg trousers that rise to meet you, literally, mid or high rise. Not the sagging, low-waisted ones from department store clearance racks. Look for a smooth waistband, nothing too tight, nothing too bulky, something with gentle structure, maybe a light elastic panel in the back, or a flat front with soft pleats. Your pants should welcome the tuck, not fight it. Emotionally, many women hesitate to tuck because they fear the spotlight it puts on their midsection. But I want to say this gently. The tuck is not about exposing. It's about reconnecting. When you tuck in, you're not trying to look young. You're allowing yourself to look whole. You're saying, this part of me still matters. I still stand in the center of my life. For me, the first time I tucked in again, after years of wearing long tunics and oversized sweaters, I felt oddly nervous. Like I was taking up space I'd quietly shrunk away from. I stood there in my closet, smoothing a pale blue blouse into a pair of charcoal white legs, and I whispered to my reflection, okay, let's see who you are now. And there she was, not perfect, not 35, but fully present, shoulders back, chin lifted, like someone who had walked through things and come out softer, but not smaller. I often tell my clients, a tuck isn't about the waist. It's about the will to stand where you are with nothing to hide. Let's carry that strength forward, shall we? Because now that we've brought the shape back to center, it's time to talk about the tops themselves. The ones that make those wide pants sing in harmony, not competition. And just between us, when was the last time you tucked something in? Not to impress anyone, but just to remember what it feels like to stand tall again. 4. The draping that moves with your day. Isn't it lovely when your clothes move with you, not against you? Like when you're reaching for something high on the shelf at Trader Joe's, bending down to water your plants, or settling into that worn armchair near the window, without tugging, straightening, or feeling pinched in places that haven't seen tension in years. There's a kind of quiet magic in soft draping. I'm not talking about oversized or shapeless. I mean clothes that flow, that follow the natural rhythms of your day and your body. A wide leg pant in rayon, tencel, or soft crepe that drapes just right, skimming, not clinging, isn't just beautiful. It's freeing. Last spring, I visited my dear friend Teresa in Santa Barbara. She's 72 now, a retired librarian who spends her mornings tending roses and her afternoons painting little coastal landscapes. We were strolling down State Street when a gust of wind caught her linen duster and the hem of her white pants. It all fluttered like poetry. She laughed and said, I used to think movement in clothing was for the young. Turns out, it was made for us. Her pants weren't fancy, just a soft toe pair with a fluid drape and a subtle crease down the leg. But they moved with her like a second breath, effortless, present. And that's the secret. Movement adds life. Especially after 60, when our bodies shift in ways we didn't expect, we often try to counterbalance by dressing safe. But rigid fabrics, stiff seams, and heavy silhouettes don't protect us. They weigh us down. When I design or choose an outfit these days, I ask, will this garment move when I do? Draped pants do more than flatter. They adapt. They shift when we sit, stretch when we reach, and sway just a little when we walk, like a soft reminder that we're still in motion, still becoming. The beauty of good drape is also in what it allows emotionally. I've seen women stand differently the moment they put on something that moves. Their voice softens, but becomes more grounded. Their shoulders release tension they didn't even know they were holding. Because when your clothes stop fighting you, you stop fighting yourself. From a technical standpoint, look for fabrics with weight and softness: rayon, viscose, silk blends, or even high-quality jersey. Choose cuts with gentle pleats, side seams that follow your shape, and no unnecessary bulk at the hip. A small flare toward the hem adds just enough movement to keep things flowing. Avoid pants that hang stiff or balloon without grace. They disrupt the elegance. For me, the turning point was a pair of dove gray pants I found at a vintage consignment shop in Ashland. I didn't expect much. But when I tried them on, I felt settled. They didn't cling, didn't pull. They followed me. And it hit me. Maybe what I've needed all along wasn't to shape my body into a look, but to let it be and dress it in things that understood softness. Sometimes the most beautiful thing we can wear is the permission to move. As I often remind my clients, real elegance doesn't stand still, it flows with you. Let's carry that energy into what we wear on top, because the next question is, what kind of tops let those pants do their job and still keep you in focus? And I'd love to know, when was the last time something you wore moved with you and made you feel more alive, not less? 5. The cropped ease of being seen, not swallowed. Some mornings when you stand in front of the mirror, do you ever feel like your clothes are wearing you, not the other way around? Like no matter what you put on, it somehow overshadows you, swallows your shape, your mood, even your energy. That feeling of being lost under layers, of disappearing into fabric that doesn't understand your body, is more common than we admit. Especially after 60, when our frames shift, our proportions change, and the old rules stop working. That's where cropped wide-leg pants come in, not just as a style choice, but as a clarifying one. Cropped wide pants, when chosen thoughtfully, do something remarkable. They reveal without shouting. By stopping just above the ankle, they offer a glimpse of movement, a sense of ease, and most importantly, definition. They let your shape breathe while gently outlining it. You're not hidden. You're framed. A few summers ago, I visited an old college friend, Marcia, up in Maine. We were walking the Portland waterfront, and I noticed she looked taller, lighter. She was wearing a soft pair of olive cropped pants, wide but not baggy, with simple leather slides and a tucked linen shirt. Nothing dramatic. But every step she took was full of ease. "These pants," she said, smiling, "are the first ones in years that don't make me feel like a lampshade." We laughed, but I knew what she meant. So many full-length wide pants drown petite women, or anyone with a shorter leg line. Cropped versions, on the other hand, open up space, around the ankles, in the silhouette, and even in your sense of presence. They invite the eye upward. They say, "Here I am," without yelling. If you've ever felt like wide pants make you look shorter or broader, the trick may be in the length. Cropped pants that end an inch or two above the ankle bone visually lift your frame. They work best when paired with a slim shoe. Nothing too bulky, a soft flat, a low block heel, even a clean sneaker can do wonders. Another tip, play with proportion. If your pants are wide and cropped, go more fitted or tucked on top. A waist-length blouse or gentle knit sweater helps reestablish your natural shape without squeezing it. I personally love cropped wide pants for travel and everyday errands. They never drag, they move freely, and they carry a quiet sharpness, like you didn't try too hard, but still look pulled together. And for those of us who've spent decades dressing to disappear, there's something beautifully healing about finally being seen, fully and gently. As I often say, elegance isn't about standing out. It's about not being erased. Now, we've dressed the frame. But what brings the grounding? In the next part, let's talk about the shoes that support, not steal the show. And tell me, do you already own a pair of cropped pants you truly love? Or are you still searching for the one that finally fits you, not the trend?
6. The colors that carry you gracefully. Have you ever opened your closet, stared at a sea of black, beige, and navy, and felt nothing? Not boredom exactly, more like invisibility, as if those colors had once promised elegance, but now they just echo the habit of playing it safe. I remember visiting my friend Lorraine in Santa Fe last spring. She's 67, a retired art teacher, and one of those women who seems to glow even in the simplest outfit. That day, she wore a soft terracotta blouse with bone-dyed cream linen trousers and a delicate green stone around her neck. "These colors don't make me look younger," she told me as we sipped iced tea on her porch. "They make me feel true." I knew exactly what she meant. Because color isn't just decoration. It's a quiet voice. It whispers energy, tenderness, vitality. And when chosen with care, it carries us, especially in this chapter of life. The right shade doesn't scream for attention. It supports your presence. Here's what I've learned. Soft neutrals, like ivory, sand, warm gray, and dusty rose, reflect light back into your face. They smooth out harsh shadows. They feel breathable, calm. Earth tones, olive, rust, sienna, connect us to nature, to groundedness. And if you long for a deeper hue, try navy or deep plum instead of flat black. They're kinder to our skin. One common mistake? Letting old color rules define you. Black is slimming. Bright red is bold. Those may have worked in our 30s, but now the goal is not to impress. It's to align. The wrong tone, even if trendy, can make us look washed out, sharp, or just off. A simple shift, like trading stark white for warm cream or switching from jet black to soft charcoal, can change how you feel in your own clothes. And when we feel good, we move differently. We soften, we breathe, we stop adjusting our collars and start walking with intention. My own turning point was a pale blue blouse I nearly didn't buy. I thought it would wash me out. But the first time I wore it with my gray wide legs, my neighbor stopped me and said, "You look rested. Not stylish, not younger. Rested." And that, to me, is real beauty. Color is not what people see first. It's what they feel without knowing why. In our next part, let's talk about something just as subtle but powerful. How a single pair of shoes can ground your entire look. What's the one color that always makes you feel more like yourself? Have you let it live in your closet lately, or just in memory? 7. The capsule that simplifies and softens life. Isn't it funny how a closet full of clothes can still leave you saying on a "I have nothing to wear"? Not because the pieces aren't nice, but because so few of them feel like you anymore. So few make you feel steady, lovely, and at ease in your own skin. Last fall, my neighbor June, she's 72 and a retired speech therapist, invited me over to help her declutter. But when we opened her closet, I didn't see clutter. I saw a history lesson. Conference jackets from the 90s, impulse buy blouses with scratchy tags, dresses from weddings she barely remembered. What was missing were the pieces that supported her now. Her pace, her body, her mornings.
So we built her a capsule. Not a trendy one, not a minimalist fantasy. A real one. 3 wide leg pants, 1 in charcoal wool, 1 soft beige linen, and 1 in a forgiving stretch blend for errands and grandkid days. 6 tops that all tucked or layered effortlessly. 2 jackets, 1 tailored, 1 soft, and 3 pairs of shoes that didn't pinch. Suddenly, her mornings felt lighter. She didn't stare at options, she chose from them. That's what a capsule is. It's not about owning less. It's about owning with care. About filling your space only with what makes you feel whole. For many of us over 60, the idea of paring down can stir up fear. Fear of letting go. Fear of no longer being prepared. But the truth is, we already carry enough. A capsule is a gift of unburdening. And when it's built around wide pants, fluid, forgiving, graceful, it invites motion. You're no longer chasing looks. You're returning to presence. From my own wardrobe, there's a pair of navy wide legs I've worn with everything from a crisp white tee to a silken blouse. With a switch of earrings and a swipe of lip color, it takes me from garden mornings to dinner out. And I don't have to think twice. That's the beauty of intention. It frees your mind and lifts your mood. A capsule isn't about less clothing, it's about less noise. In our closing, I'll invite you to reflect with gentleness on what you truly want your clothes to say for you now. But before that, tell me, what's one piece in your wardrobe you'd never give up? And why does it still feel like you?
We've come a long way together, haven't we? From the quiet ease of linen that lets you exhale, to the waistlines that meet us where we are, not where we once were. We explored the quiet strength of a well-placed tuck, the harmony of balanced tops, and the warmth of colors that don't shout, but know how to hold a room. And the most important part? We didn't fix ourselves. We simply remembered how to choose again. Not for a trend, not for approval, but for us. So here's what I invite you to try this week. Just one small thing. A new pant shape that floats when you move. A simple tuck that reminds you where your center is. A color you haven't touched since your 30s, but suddenly feels inviting. Wear it on a walk, or to brunch, or while cooking dinner with the window open. Real life, real you. Because you don't need to become someone else to look stunning. You just need to get dressed like the woman you already are, with care, with calm, with quiet self-respect. Let me tell you something. There's power in standing still, in not rushing to change, and sometimes that stillness moves the most. It softens your day. It changes how you hold the mirror, and one morning you'll catch a glimpse of yourself, not younger, not different, but fully you. And you'll smile. Thank you, dear friend, for sitting with me like this. If there's a pair of pants or a moment in them that made you feel the most like yourself, share it below. I'll be reading every word, tea in hand, heart wide open.